Peasants needed, sire. Recruits needed, sire. Weapons needed, sire. You can't do that, my lord. Can't place that there, my lord. Plague has descended on your castle, your lordship.
Some strategy games focus entirely on battles. Others focus on city building. Stronghold Crusader managed to do both. Released in 2002 by Firefly Studios, Stronghold Crusader offered players something special. It wasn't just about creating the biggest army or defeating opponents as quickly as possible. It was about building a living medieval castle, a place where farmers worked the fields, bakers produced bread, blacksmiths forged weapons, and soldiers stood ready to defend the walls. At the same time, it delivered some of the most memorable siege warfare ever seen in a strategy game. Massive armies clashed in desert-inspired Middle Eastern battlegrounds. Arrows filled the sky, trebuchets smashed through stone walls, and every castle felt like a real fortress built by the player. More than 2 decades later, Stronghold Crusader remains one of the most beloved strategy games ever made. Today, we're revisiting the castle-building classic that countless players still return to. This is Stronghold Crusader, a different kind of strategy game. When Stronghold Crusader launched, the real-time strategy genre was already crowded. Games like StarCraft, Age of Empires, and Warcraft 3 dominated the market. Stronghold Crusader took a different approach. Instead of focusing entirely on military units, the game placed equal importance on economics and castle management. Success wasn't determined only by the size of your army. It depended on how effectively your entire kingdom functioned. Players had to manage food production, control popularity, gather resources, build industries, and maintain a stable economy. A powerful army meant nothing if the population was unhappy or starving. This balance between management and warfare gave Stronghold Crusader a unique identity: building your dream castle. One of the game's greatest strengths was castle construction. Every wall, tower, gatehouse, and defensive structure could be placed exactly where the player wanted. Some players created compact military fortresses. Others built enormous castles surrounded by multiple layers of defenses. The freedom was remarkable. Players experimented endlessly with different layouts. Should the walls be thick and heavily defended? Should archers be placed on towers overlooking key entrances? Should the castle rely on moats and choke points? Every decision mattered. Unlike many strategy games where bases served primarily as production centers, castles in Stronghold Crusader felt personal. Players spent hours perfecting their designs, and when an enemy army arrived, those choices were put to the test: the economy behind the war. Before players could build armies, they needed a functioning economy. This was where Stronghold Crusader truly stood out. Food production became a constant priority. Wheat farms supplied mills, mills supplied bakeries, bakeries supplied bread. Meanwhile, apple orchards, dairy farms, and hunting posts provided additional sources of food. Every building served a purpose. Every worker contributed to the larger system. Players also needed wood, stone, iron, and other resources. Entire production chains had to be created and protected. Without raw materials, weapons couldn't be produced. Weapons require industry buildings plus resources, not just raw materials. Without weapons, armies couldn't be trained. The economy wasn't simply a background mechanic. It was the foundation of everything. Many players discovered that managing a successful kingdom could be just as satisfying as winning a battle. The legendary AI lords. One reason Stronghold Crusader remains memorable is its collection of AI opponents. Each lord had a unique personality. The rat was inexperienced and relatively easy to defeat. The snake relied on cunning and deception. The pig favored brute force, and the wolf represented one of the greatest challenges in the game. These opponents weren't simply different names attached to identical behavior. They built castles differently, they attacked differently, and they required different strategies to defeat. Players quickly learned to recognize their strengths and weaknesses. Over time, these AI lords became some of the most iconic characters in strategy gaming. Many fans can still recognize their voices and quotes years later.
He wins again! But he wins again!
Am I victorious? Oh yes, I am!
I win! I win! I win! No one beats the pig!
You are weak and not fit to command an army.
Siege warfare at its best. If there was one area where Stronghold Crusader truly excelled, it was siege warfare. Attacking a castle felt like a genuine military operation. Players couldn't simply send units directly at enemy walls and expect success. They needed planning. Archers could provide covering fire. Catapults and trebuchets could destroy defensive structures. Siege towers allowed troops to scale walls. Battering rams targeted gatehouses. Every assault felt dynamic and exciting. Defending was equally rewarding. Well-positioned archers could eliminate attackers before they reached the walls. Boiling oil punished enemies who approached the gates. Crossbowmen delivered devastating damage from defensive positions. Watching a carefully designed castle survive a massive assault was incredibly satisfying. Even today, few strategy games capture medieval siege warfare in such a way as Stronghold Crusader, the units every player remembers. Stronghold Crusader offered a wide variety of military units. Each served a specific role on the battlefield. Archers were inexpensive and effective at range. Crossbowmen provided greater damage at the cost of slower movement. Spearmen offered cheap defensive options. Pickmen performed well against cavalry. Macemen moved quickly and excelled at aggressive attacks. Knights became powerful elite units capable of breaking through enemy lines. The game also featured units inspired by Middle Eastern armies. Arabian swordsmen delivered devastating melee damage. Horse archers combined speed with ranged attacks. Assassins could climb walls and infiltrate enemy castles. Fire throwers created chaos among tightly packed defenders. Because every unit had strengths and weaknesses, battles rewarded strategic thinking rather than simple numbers. The Crusader Trail. For many players, the heart of Stronghold Crusader was the Crusader Trail. This lengthy series of missions challenged players to overcome increasingly difficult scenarios. Early missions introduced basic concepts. Later missions demanded mastery of economics, defense, and military strategy. The difficulty steadily increased. Resources became limited. Enemies became stronger. Mistakes became more costly. Completing the entire Crusader Trail became a badge of honor for many fans. Some missions took multiple attempts. Others required completely new approaches. But that challenge was part of what made victory so rewarding. Few campaign modes in strategy gaming have remained as memorable as the Crusader Trail. The soundtrack and atmosphere. Stronghold Crusader's atmosphere played a major role in its success. The music perfectly matched the medieval setting. Calm tracks accompanied peaceful castle management. More intense compositions enhanced large-scale battles. The sound effects were equally effective. Workers announced their tasks. Merchants moved through the economy. Soldiers responded to commands. And battles felt dramatic without becoming overwhelming. The game also featured a distinct visual style. The desert maps felt warm and expansive. Castles looked functional and believable. The battlefield remained easy to read even during large engagements. Everything worked together to create an immersive experience. Multiplayer memories. While many players focused on single-player content, multiplayer added another dimension to the game. Friends could compete against each other while designing unique castles and strategies. Every match felt different. Some players focused heavily on economic growth. Others rushed military production. Some built enormous fortresses designed to withstand any attack. The freedom to approach matches in different ways kept multiplayer interesting for years. Many longtime fans still remember late-night matches with friends and family. For some players, those memories remain the strongest reason they continue returning to the game today. Why Stronghold Crusader still matters. Many strategy games from the early 2000s have faded into history. Stronghold Crusader remains relevant. Part of that success comes from its unique combination of mechanics. It wasn't only a city builder. It wasn't only a war game. It successfully combined both. Players became attached to their castles because they built every part of them. Victories felt meaningful because they were earned through careful planning and management. The game also respected player creativity. There was never a single correct way to build a kingdom or defend a fortress. Different approaches could succeed. That freedom continues to attract new players even decades after release. The legacy of a classic. Stronghold Crusader helped establish Firefly Studios as one of the most recognizable names in castle-building strategy games. Later entries expanded upon the formula. But for many fans, Stronghold Crusader remains the defining experience. Its castle building, its siege warfare, its memorable AI opponents, its rewarding progression, and its unique atmosphere combine to create something special. More than 2 decades later, communities remain active. New players continue discovering the game, and longtime fans continue defending their castles just as they did years ago. Very few strategy games achieve that level of longevity. Stronghold Crusader earned it. Stronghold Crusader wasn't just a strategy game. It was a medieval sandbox where players could build, manage, defend, and conquer. It allowed players to create their own castles, develop thriving economies, and command armies in some of the most memorable sieges in gaming history. Whether you spent your time perfecting castle layouts, completing the Crusader Trail, or battling friends in multiplayer, every victory felt earned. And that's why Stronghold Crusader continues to stand among the greatest strategy games ever made. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe for more deep dives into gaming's most influential classics, and let us know in the comments, what was your favorite Stronghold Crusader memory? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.